Well, good morning, everybody. Please rise and let's sing Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice, and live justly. I've decided I'm tired of trying to struggle over which one, so I'm just going to add the fourth. As I was saying earlier, I don't think it's possible to live justly without working for justice, and I don't think it's possible to work for justice without living justly. Although I know some people who work for justice that don't live justly. So I think we might want to add it in there. What do you think? Whatever the case, whichever you prefer to say, welcome as always to each of you. We embrace all that you bring with you to this space, your unique beliefs, your background, your lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are. And this includes those of you who are with us in the room this morning, as well as those who are live streaming with us. We're glad to have all of you. So I want to jump into a couple of announcements before we take a few minutes to greet one another. One, again, another reminder that the Spokane Alliance held a press conference at City Hall recently to support a new community workforce agreement that will ensure that public funds invested in Spokane's projects will create quality jobs, support underrepresented employees or workers and communities, and also invest in our local workers. Now, the last time I brought this up, I told you it was going to be happening on August 18th at the City Council meeting on Monday, August 18th. That has been bumped again. Now it is scheduled to happen on August 25th. So if this is something that you want to participate in and show your solidarity in, we would appreciate it. If you want to go even further and wear one of the psychedelic t-shirts that say UUCS to show our common presence, there are some for sale at the social justice table in the back of the room. So we appreciate that, and you can talk with a member of our Social Justice Coordinating Council if you want more information. I think Barb Stubing was supposed to be here. I don't know if she's going to show up or not, but Nancy's back there and waving her hand, and she can also help out and answer any questions. So thanks, Nancy. All right, now, if you missed the opportunity to hear Jackie Sandberg and Madeline McNeil performing this past Wednesday, there are two other opportunities coming up this week, actually this weekend. Friday, August 8th at 6:30 p.m. The Jaxie Duo, as they have named themselves, will be playing at the Mole Mexican Restaurant in Kendall Yards. And the following night on Saturday, also in Kendall Yards, they'll be playing at Hello Sugar from 5 to 6:30 p.m. So you can eat Mexican food on Friday and save room for dessert on Saturday and enjoy what I promise you will be some of the best music in the area. So, the Jaxie Duo. Jaxie. Jaxy. Haven't you heard that before? Yeah. I love it. You're welcome. All right, yeah, that's all I have. So why don't you all take a few minutes this morning to say hi to each other? Perfect, thank you. All right. Okay, more opportunity to visit with one another during our social hour following the service, so please stay around for that and grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and some good conversation. But we'll move forward now by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
The opening words are from Susie Kassim. Make your book of life a musical. Never abandon obligations, but have fun leaving behind a colorful legacy. Take control of your life and never allow limitations implanted by society tell you how your music is supposed to sound or how your book is supposed to be written.
Okay, we've got a new hymnal, well, at least new to me, so if we can all stand up and sing There Is More Love Somewhere. And it's 95 in your books, but also up here, obviously.
There is more love.
Before we begin with our candles of care, I would point out that this candle behind me is something we light, have been lighting at least at the start of each month. This is a candle that was gifted to us by our partner church in Felșoracos, Romania. Each Sunday, our partner church lights an identical candle to this in honor of our longtime friendship and work together. And they sent us one of those candles as a gift. So we've been lighting it at the start of each month as a way to share our own appreciation for that long-time relationship. So. As far as our candles of care go today, we'll begin as we have been on behalf of the people of Ukraine and Russia and that region of the world impacted by the war and violence there. The Palestinian people, the people of Israel, Iran, Syria being impacted by the terrible inhumanities going on there. And a candle for the millions of frightened immigrants in our own country, or people whom to some look like they might be immigrants that now fear walking their own neighborhoods. Let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others that you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud if you like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world. Thank you so much, Jackie. I feel somehow less worried and happier. I didn't need to hear the lyrics to feel that way because of your playing, so thank you. It is now time for our story for all ages, so if anybody would like to come forward. Good to see you guys. You've been gallivanting around the country, finishing up your goal of visiting all 50 states, is that right? Yes. Wow. Amazing. Well, it's good to see most of you. Those two are right here? Well, that's okay. I can feel the pulpit shaking a little, so I know they're there. I sense their presence. Okay, so I've got somebody down here pulling on my foot, and I don't think it's Theo. Let me check and see what's going on. Oh my goodness, look who it is. Yes, it's Bigfoot. What a surprise. You're surprised. Imagine how I feel. Well, you mean you didn't intend to be here this morning? No way, Nan. Us Bigfoots like to stay out of sight. Yeah, well, then how did you get here? The hokey tokey. The hokey pokey. Yeah, I took my right foot in, and I took my right foot out. Yeah? Well, then I took my left foot in, and I took my left foot out. And did you shake it all about? Yeah, that's how I got myself turned around. Okay, well, that makes sense, I guess. So I'm sorry you've gotten lost, actually, and you're here by mistake. Lost? Us Bigfoots can't get lost, man. We're always at home, no matter where we are. Oh, okay. Well, you mean you don't have one place that you call home? Sure I do. Earth. Earth, that's right. Earth is my home, isn't it yours? Well, yeah, if you put it that way, I guess it is, but I'm also considered an American who lives here in Spokane, Washington. I can't understand a word you're saying. No, the earth is our only home. And all living creatures, the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and all the animals everywhere are part of a single family, a family of earthlings. Well, that's a really beautiful way to put it in looking at the world, Bigfoot. But sometimes we humans forget that we're all part of one world and that it's our responsibility to care for the earth and other creatures, right? Yeah, I get it, man. Even sometimes with someone with big feet. Oh my God! Here, let me pull that hair out of your mouth. Maybe that'll help. Why don't you try again, Bigfoot? You got to worry about putting your feet in your mouth, don't you? Yes, I do. Even someone with feet as big as 9 can get turned around now and again. But we'll never lose our way so long as we remember we're all part of the single family and share the same home. Well, thanks for reminding us of that, Bigfoot. Even though you got turned around this morning, I think you ended up right where you belong. Thanks, Nan, but I need to get going. Oh, where are you heading next? Not sure, but no matter where I go, I always try to begin by taking a step in the right direction. Very nice, Bigfoot. Listen, don't stub your toe on the way out. We'll see you next time.
For this morning's meditation, words from Eleanor Roosevelt. Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places close to home, so close and so small they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity, without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere.
So this song was written by a famous local musician by the name of Jim Boyd. You probably remember him in the 90s, performed everywhere in Spokane, but just did a lot for the indigenous community and really for Spokane. But this is his song, and I got the opportunity to perform with him, so what a life. When I see your face in the firelight, I wonder how the fire started. Some people might call you pretty, but I called you broken-hearted. And I've got a map in my pocket, oh, that has your name written in blue. I'll follow you like that river if you just guide me through. Let's rent a car and drive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's steal the sun and hide it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's find a storm and ride it 1,000,000 miles away. When I see you dance in the bar light, I wonder when the song will end. Some people might think you're graceful, but I think you're brittle and bent. And I've got a map in my pocket where every town is for you. make a stop in all of them if you just guide me through. Let's rent a car and drive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's steal the sun and hide it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's find a storm and ride it 1,000,000 miles away. When I see you read by the candlelight, I wonder if you'll hurt your eyes. Some people like happy endings, but I've always liked a surprise. When I've got a map here in my pocket that shows where Lucifer fell, yeah, I'll fall from heaven if you just guide me through hell. Well, let's rent a car and drive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's steal the sun and hide it 1,000,000 miles away. And let's find a storm and ride it 1,000,000 miles away. 1,000,000 miles away.
As beautiful as that song is, I'm glad that I was not 1,000,000 miles away this morning and was right here where I got to hear you perform it. Yeah, thank you. Beautiful. I said during the first service, you know, we should try to save the best for last, but with the music the way it is around here anymore, the best is already behind us, so you'll have to tolerate my sermon. Thank you for that support, Marshall. Well, we'll give credit where it's due, though, so absolutely. So I want to begin, talking about For the Love of Life by talking a little bit about renewable energy, especially from solar and wind, which has become the fastest growing and cheapest energy in the world. In their new book, Abundance, Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson explain this trend by summarizing it, or I should say summarizing a recent study. They say, in a thrilling paper with the very unthrilling title, Empirically Grounded Technology Forecast and the Energy Transition, I'm sure you've read that one, a team of researchers found that the price of oil, gas, and coal after adjusting for inflation is about what it was 140 years ago. But renewable energy keeps crushing expectations The authors looked at 2,905 projections for solar costs made by the most popular forecasting models and found that solar costs were expected to fall by 2.6% a year and never more than 6%. In reality, they fell by 15% a year, year after year. 15%. In 2022, the U.S. Energy Information Administration released a report estimating life cycle cost for new energy installations in the coming decades. Solar was already cheaper than natural gas. Wind was $1 more. Both were about half the price of coal. A world powered by renewable energy is barreling towards us like a solar-powered freight train, and will be here before we know it, despite the naysayers and the Neanderthals standing on the tracks hoping to stop it. In The Singularity is Nearer, Ray Kurzweil says, as a result of these ongoing cost reductions, the overall amount of energy obtained from renewable sources, solar, wind, geothermal, tidal, and biofuels, is also growing exponentially. Globally, the cost reductions of solar energy in particular is doubling much faster than other renewable sources, just under every 28 months from 1983 to 2021, right? Doubling each year. Doing the math, Kurzweil says, from 3.6% in 2021, it would take only about 4.8 doublings to reach 100%, which would put us at 2032 to meet all of our energy needs from solar alone. 2032, that's just a few years away. It's an astonishing statement, especially if you're only looking at solar from a U.S. perspective, where it's being resisted by those currently in power with evangelical passion. A 2023 report by the International Energy Agency says, while the increases in renewable capacity in Europe, the United States, and Brazil hit all-time highs, China's acceleration was extraordinary. In 2023, China commissioned as much solar power as the entire world did in 2022, while its wind additions also grew by 66% year on year. Globally, solar PV alone accounts for 3/4 of renewable capacity additions worldwide. So despite all of the U.S.'s fear-mongering about China, the sleeping giant has awakened and it has hit the ground running. In addition to having more than 23,000 miles of high-speed rail, compared to 0 in the U.S., almost 65% of the world's electric cars compared to 1% in the U.S., AI-embodied robots already, and drones that can deliver your lunch or a cup of coffee from the sky. China, not the U.S., or any other Western nation, is the world's leader on combating climate change. In fact, if it weren't for China, solar power wouldn't be affordable for anyone right now. Despite the U.S. having invented solar technology in the 1950s, it is China that made it an affordable market. As Klein and Thompson explained, in 2000, not too long ago, China had barely enough solar energy to power a small town. By 2020, the nation was making 70% of the world's photovoltaic panels. And China ramped up manufacturing. As China ramped up manufacturing, the cost of solar panels in the last 15 years has declined by almost 90%. Right? That's why those of us like myself, fortunate enough to have solar panels on our roofs, can afford them. I don't mind them saying made in China on the back. I agree actually with that great line from a John Denver song, who's to say you have to lose for someone else to win? I want my neighbors around the world. I want my brothers and sisters in China to win. China is not leaving the U.S. in its dust. The U.S. is leaving itself in China's dust. Just this past week, in his reckless and short-sighted efforts to make America great again, Donald Trump ordered the Environmental Protection Agency to stop regulating greenhouse gas emissions. In other words, to stop doing its job. Trump wants to make the U.S. dependent on coal, oil, and gas again, even as the rest of the world is passing us by, along with all the new green energy jobs other countries, especially China, will have access to. According to the IEA report, 30 million clean energy jobs will be gained by the end of this decade, compared to only 5 million lost by the deadly and dying fossil fuel industry. That's a net gain of 25 million jobs. And if the U.S. continues down the path of nationalism and isolationism that it is on, it is unlikely that it will enjoy any of the benefits of this booming industry. Now, I've begun by discussing renewable energy to such an extent because it is a very real and cogent example of the choice that we are facing today between life or death. Solar, wind, and water are the energies of life, while coal, oil, and gas are the destructive energies made from the buried remains of dead animals. In 2017, Noam Chomsky, professor emeritus of MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, drew a lot of heat by claiming that the Republican Party is the most dangerous organization in human history. He argued this is mostly so because of its refusal to do anything about or let anyone else do anything about global warming, the worst existential crisis humanity has ever faced. I agree that's a very outrageous statement, Chomsky told journalist Amy Goodman. So I therefore simply suggest that you take a look at the facts and see if it has any merit or if it should just be bitterly condemned. Has there ever been an organization in human history that is dedicated with such commitment to the destruction of organized human life on Earth? Of course, the grand old party likes to portray itself as the pro-life party because of its concern for unborn people, which, given its otherwise dismal anti-life record, can only be understood as a form of denial and deflection. Just this past week, there was another mass shooting involving a U.S. civilian using a military-style assault rifle. At the same time, NBC reported on a new drone system that uses pepper spray and other non-lethal tools to track down and incapacitate. Why do we have to depend on such technology to begin with, when, like any other sane country, we can simply ban civilians from owning these unnecessary weapons? We can't, because here in the U.S., our society has mostly chosen death over life. The U.S. is the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't provide adequate health care to its citizens, including during the height of the COVID pandemic. The GOP resisted sheltering at home and wearing masks in public to prevent its deadly spread, and has since worked through outbreaks of diseases that we had previously defeated, like polio and the measles. In recent months, weeks, and even days, the Republican administration has continued to diminish and end environmental agencies and protections, and has rapidly discontinued domestic and foreign aid programs to those most in need in the U.S. and around the world. It's also backing away from offering disaster relief for the almost constant barrage now of hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and fires caused by the climate change that it still refuses to acknowledge is even happening. But hey, we got the borders handled. Instead of compassionately addressing the growing housing shortage that's putting working Americans out on our streets, the Trump administration's solution is to simply remove them. To where? We do not know. Perhaps to some foreign gulag. Instead of treating immigrants with respect and dignity, everyone who even looks like they might perhaps be from a foreign country must now fear for themselves and their families. Only a couple of days ago, perhaps in response to the South Park episode recently ridiculing his male prowess, Trump sent 2 nuclear submarines, talk about phallic symbols, to threaten Russia, rather than working to de-escalate the possibility of the nuclear war that he promised would occur if he wasn't elected. And let's add making paper straws illegal, just to be mean, and outlawing cultivated meat that would eliminate the suffering of animals to this unsavory list of destructive actions. However else we might define these behaviors, they cannot be considered the actions of a party or a nation that is pro-life, but of a people, organization, society, or what have you that, as Noam Chomsky says, is at the very least among the most dangerous organizations in human history. Now, this is not to say that all Republicans, nor all who voted for Republicans, have a necrophilous or death-centered orientation. To assume otherwise is to commit the informal fallacy of division, confusing qualities attributed to the whole with those of its individual members. So although people will accuse me of saying that all Republicans are necrophiles, that's not what I'm saying. Nor am I implying that everyone who votes for Democrats in the U.S. have a life-directed or biophilous orientation. Some of the most loathsome people I know are Democrats. Necrophilia is rooted, rather, in the failure of some individuals to fully emerge from their original narcissism, the experience of ourselves as the entire world, which should dissipate if and as we differentiate ourselves from our mothers. And if for some reason we cannot let go of that original feeling of oneness, we find a surrogate mother, be it a person, a group, a religion, a nationality, or the like. So I've discussed how this is manifesting on the right. On the left, it has manifested as cancel culture, wokeness, political correctness, or whatever you want to call it, and is characterized by losing oneself in one's sense of identity or as reverence for the identity of others. As with one's looks, one's body, one's wealth, defining oneself by one's identity rather than one's creativity and one's accomplishments, especially those that make a positive difference in the world, is narcissistic. It becomes malignant narcissism as soon as it ventures into authoritarianism by demanding that everyone else recognize and revere our identity as much as we do. Right? Billions of people have to see the world as we do, effectively making oneself the whole world again. To require everyone in the world to use language or see things exactly as we do, or to claim that we've been harmed when we hear things we disagree with, is extremely narcissistic. It's not social justice. So if you think I've been too hard on Republicans, let me state explicitly that this is precisely what I believe has become of many liberal institutions, to their detriment, including segments of the Democratic Party, and has completely overtaken our very religion, Unitarian Universalism, which now attacks, the leadership at least of which now attacks the character and livelihoods of anyone who resists or disagrees with it. Just a couple of weeks ago, the UU Association disfellowshipped yet another minister, one who had served for the better part of 3 decades, accusing her of being an abusive bully. Between 1961 and 2020, do the math, the UUA had permanently removed only 8 ministers from fellowship, that is, stripping them of their professional credentials. 7 of those were for sexual misconduct and 1 for financial malfeasance, and they should have been. Since 2020, when I became the first minister to have the honor of being disfellowshipped for being a non-cooperative, abusive bully, after writing a book of dissenting views, they have disfellowshipped 7 others for the same or similar reasons as me, especially for saying something that somebody at the UUA disagrees with. That's as many removed in the past 5 years as were removed over a period of decades. To disregard the freedoms of others in order to sustain one's narcissistic wish to be the whole world is anti-life, and it exists on both the left and the right today. And this is so of both extremes, or I should say that this is so of both extremes, should not be surprising, given that the choice between necrophilia and biophilia is perhaps the most common human dilemma, regardless of our politics, our identities, or anything else. Nor is it a decision that we just make once, but every day, every vote, every action. A psychologist, social psychologist Eric Fromm says, every second is a moment of decision for the better or for the worse. Fortunately, he also says that our primary orientation is toward life, not death, which makes sense if you think about it, given that the drive to live is the primary instinct of all living things, of all living beings. Again, it is only when we fail to fully differentiate ourselves from the world, enabling us then to fully unfold as individuals, that our narcissism leads to necrophilia, characterized by authoritarianism, destruction, and decay, if not death itself. What is true of the individual, as we have seen, becomes true of society, especially if it's widespread enough to put malignant narcissists into power, leading to the sorts of consequences I've already outlined. In addition to oppressive and destructive behaviors, this orientation is unable to create or to advance. For it is life that is defined by birth and growth and creativity, not death. But a necrophilious society doesn't simply sit still. Unable to progress, it has no choice but to regress. Fromm says if it does not grow, it decays. If it does not transcend the status quo for the better, it changes for the worse. The moment we stand still, we begin to decay. Life has to progress. It has to move forward. This decay, however, is evidenced by the underfunded and outdated public schools across the U.S., as well as its unkept and failing national infrastructures like roadways, highways, and bridges. Along of course, with its inability to build, not only its inability to care for existing structures, but to create, to build, to advance new structures, like those high-speed rails in China I mentioned. We cannot make anything great by simply dismantling. By simply dismantling the government, brandishing chainsaws, and shouting, cut, 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 cut. We have to create. Life that stagnates tends to die, Fromm says. If the stagnation is complete, death has occurred. As necessary as it is to discuss the negative consequences of this death orientation in order to understand what we're up against, I hope you have taken note of 3 very positive points that I've made. First, the energy that has always created and sustained life is winning. Despite all that the GOP is now Trump are doing to stop the green energy revolution, they are failing and will at most only succeed in putting the U.S. behind the times on its continued path towards insignificance. Sad a thought as that is. 2, the choice between life and death, between biophilia and necrophilia, is always before us. Every second, meaning just because we've made bad choices in the past doesn't mean we have to make bad choices in the future. Once we recognize its qualities, we can choose life. Thirdly, choosing life is our primary instinct, meaning it is the natural choice for us to make. In short, life is winning, and most of us want it to win. What then are the qualities that define this biophilous orientation? To answer this, I'll begin with a full paragraph from Fromm's The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness. He says, biophilia is the passionate love of life and all that is alive. It is the wish to further growth, whether in a person, a plant, an idea, or a social group. The biophilous person prefers to construct rather than retain. He wants to be more rather than to have more. He's capable of wondering, and he prefers to see something new rather than to find confirmation of the old. He loves the adventure of living more than he does certainty. He sees the whole rather than only the parts, structures rather than summations. He wants to mold and to influence by love, reason, and example, not by force, by cutting things apart, by the bureaucratic manner of administrating people as if they were things. We'll just remove them. Because he enjoys life in all its manifestations. In this description, we find the very opposite of the authoritarian, destructive, unproductive, necrophilous orientation. The love of life promotes freedom, creativity, and progress for the individual and for society. Elsewhere, Fromm defines love as the sense of responsibility, care, respect, knowledge of all that we love. He hence describes biophilic ethics to mean good is all that serves life. Evil is all that serves death. Good is reverence for life, all that enhances life, growth, unfolding. Evil is that which stifles life, narrows it down, cuts it into pieces. Today we're seeing the consequences of our necrophilous choices in pronounced, frightening, and destructive ways. But the choice is still before us every second giving us another opportunity to choose for the better rather than for the worse. So rather than fearing the future by stifling progress and stifling life itself, we have the chance to create a life-affirming future for the whole world. Let's choose a world in which we recycle our swords by turning them into plowshares, our nuclear submarines into vessels that clean our polluted oceans. And let's replace the guns on our streets with enough food and housing and health care and modern schoolhouses to nourish and nurture and unlock the full potential of every boy and girl. Instead of investing trillions in the war machine while begrudging what few dollars are spent on any public service, let's happily invest in the well-being of our citizens, no matter who they are or where they are from. Instead of pretending we care about humanity by saving the unborn, let's care for freedom, safety, well-being of all people, no matter where they are born. Instead of fearing, hating, demonizing, and ruining the lives of those we disagree with, let's at the very least live and let live. Until by living peacefully together we come to recognize our common humanity and then discover our love for one another. Rather than being left even further behind, let's choose to become real leaders in the world by becoming good partners who are helping to advance clean energy so that we can all begin healing the earth. The slogan, "Choose Life," cannot be limited only to those who don't exist yet, or only for those who look, think, and act like us. It is the choice that is always before all of us every second to make things better, not worse, for the lives of the world and the world that is already here before us, needing our love. Did I say love? I meant needing our responsibility, our care, our respect, our understanding, because that's what the love of life is. Choosing freedom, creativity, and growth by making a positive difference in the lives of other people, other creatures, and the earth itself, which is the living mother of us all and truly is the whole world. Thank you.
Okay, if we can sing Blue Boat Home together, please.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting
The thought manifests the word manifests the deed. The deed develops into habit, and habit hardens into character. So watch the thought and its ways with care, and let them spring forth with love born out of compassion for all beings. As the shadow follows the body, as we think, so we become. The Dhammapada. Amen, blessed be, salam alaikum, and shalom.